ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وبعد فيا إخوة الإيمان, my respected brothers and sisters, on this beautiful South Florida day, we begin by expressing words of gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously gives each and every one of us in our lives so many goodness. And quite often in our busyness to enjoy them, we neglect to say thanks. And so whenever we gather, for whatever purpose or reason, we must always take a moment to reflect and show an expression of gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah recognizes that we sometimes are neglectful people, and so He has given Himself the attribute of forgiveness. He will forgive us, At-Tawwab Ar-Rahim, merciful and forgiving. Allah is to us. My brothers and sisters, we are gathered here today on the 30th of December. And this year, 2016, will finish and culminate tomorrow. And because of how the world has become, we are able to more accurately track greater details and volumes of things that takes place in a year. And this year has been a doozy. There are so many things that happened this year that demonstrated the beautiful nature of humanity and also demonstrated the horrific behavior of humanity as well. And so we saw both kinds of incidents occurring this year. In terms of what humanity did to itself this year, we saw terrorist attacks in Florida, in Belgium, in Germany, in France, in Yemen, in Jordan. So many places where horrific acts took place. And of course, we are haunted by the images of the children of Syria and what is happening with the deteriorating war that keeps going on there, and the latest is Aleppo. Over 50,000 children have already been killed. And how many more we don't know. This year, 2016, saw us participating in the US elections, which also was very traumatic for the Muslim community. We saw the death of Fidel Castro. We also saw many goodnesses that happened. The Muslims donated $100,000 to the Flint, the Michigan water crisis that is going on there. Muslims gave $200,000 to the San Bernardino victims. We saw people coming out and helping Syrian refugees everywhere. One couple from Turkey, on their wedding day, fed 4,000 families. We saw Muslims helping to rebuild black churches that were burnt down. We saw Muslims when a bus was attacked in Kenya. The Muslims shielded Christians so that they could protect them. We saw when Charlie Hebdo, this incident happened, one Muslim brother, Lasagna, helped so many Jewish customers to go free by protecting them and showing them where to exit. Many beautiful things happened with Muslims participating and getting involved in many different deeds that don't sometimes get highlighted. We also saw the death of one I was reading in The Guardian, Abdul Sattar Idhi, who is perhaps among one of the best philanthropists and humanitarians in Pakistan. This was a man who started as literally a beggar and developed a multi-million-dollar foundation in which he has over 1,800 ambulance vans that tours the street of Pakistan. He has jets, an airplane, and helicopter that lifts the sick. He has boats that rescue people from the sea. He participates in missing children, in people who abandon their child. So he has hospitals and orphanages. He passed away this year. And so many of these different incidents took place during this year. And all of us also have individually in our lives know fully what took place in the lives of ourselves and our families. And quite often when we reach this point of the year, many of us fantasize about January. Oh, we have such resolutions that we make. You know, the fitness industry, the gyms, they said we get the highest new members in January. Because everybody made this wonderful resolution that I'm going to lose weight this year, I'm going to get more healthy, I'm going to get fit. So in January, all the membership goes up. And they said by March, everything goes back. Most people, the research have shown, please come forward as much as you can. Don't worry about the soft makeup. Just get every little space. We'll figure out this out.
Every ounce of space must be taken up, please. We'll figure out the soft space.
And so, all the research have shown making these kinds of resolutions based on the beginning of a year really do not work. And they don't really show anything. It is more of a fad, a social pressure, a fantasy that we have, and we say, okay, here's a chance to lock it up. It is never motivated from a genuine desire to change by people. And so they give up on their resolutions very quickly. But this year coming up, 2017, is a real pivotal year for Muslims, because it is a year in which not only Muslims, but the whole of America is uncertain about what will happen. No one really quite sure what is going to happen in 2017. And it's really important for us Muslims to understand that we have got to respond appropriately by our community. The need for our communities, both individually and collectively, is to make sure that when 2017 comes, there are some things that we need to address and do. And in today's khutbah, we want to mention 3 of them. I like to do 3s because I think that people may remember 3 points. If you do 4 points, they forget. And if you do 2, they say, it's too little bit. I can remember the 2. But 3 is a challenge to remember. But usually it works. And so, one of the very important challenges that we have coming up this year, as a Muslim community and as individuals, is that we have got to move our mindset from being and thinking of ourselves as victims and move into thinking of ourselves as leaders. That all of us will be responsible. All of us are shepherds. All of us have something to give account. We must always operate from the mindset of being a leader. Because a victim mindset is completely different from a leader mindset. Victims sit and they make excuses for their condition. A leader never does. Victims sit and they blame someone for their condition. A victim sits and they complain. Leaders are busy involved in finding solutions to their reality. And so we have got to develop that mindset. Victims sit and they make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah help me, and then they do nothing and hope that a miracle will just drop on their lap. Leaders make dua to Allah, oh Allah help me, and then they immediately get involved in working to make that miracle a reality, to make them deserve Allah giving them that miracle. Victims, they are in the business of waiting for a handout, for somebody to give them something. Leaders are looking to give and to contribute to others. And so we, who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks so highly of, because Allah has given us the guidance, and He calls us khayra ummah, the best of the nations. And we are shuhada ala nas. We have been given the responsibility to take care of the rest of mankind. And so all of us never ever feel that you are a victim. You have been blessed with much. The most valuable gift that God can give a human being is guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you have that in your hands. How can you operate as a victim? How can we operate as a victim? We've got to change that as a community. You know, Bilal ibn Rabah radiallahu anhu, he was a slave. And a terrible slave master he had. Umayyah bin Khalaf. And when Bilal ibn Rabah radiallahu anhu, who operated as a slave, obeyed his master, felt his whole life was just condemned to a life of slavery. But the moment Allah blessed him with guidance, his mentality changed. He moved from being a victim to being a leader. And he understood that I no longer can accept the status quo of just being an obedient slave. I have to challenge that. I have to operate from a position of leadership. And at the great peril to his very life, he stood up against his master, putting his trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, taking the punishment and the torture and not giving him or backing down. And what happened? When you begin to operate like that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Allah comes and He helps. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused Bilal to be freed from a place where he never expected it. Out of the blue, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came and bought him and then freed him. And then you sit as a slave and say, what do I do? I was a slave. There's nothing. What can I contribute to the Muslim community? Bilal ibn Rabah radiallahu anhu, because he began to think like a leader, graduated himself and rose to the position where he called the believers to prayer. What an honorable position that he rose to. Because the people who give the adhan have a special place in Jannah. And so we have got to begin to change that and think always, I have been blessed with guidance, I'm a leader, I'm responsible to make stuff happen. And the second thing that we must do this year, you know, it is a real sad thing to see sometimes. I will meet someone and they will be at this level of Islam. And then I will meet them 10 years after and they'll be at the same level. Nothing changes in their life. They come 1 week to Jummah and that's the standard they set for themselves. They will come in Ramadan, they will fast, and then after Ramadan they don't show up. And they will just do a set of things. And year after year, nothing moves in terms of making them different. We have got to understand that we must commit this year to making yourself a better, stronger believer. That the strong believer is closer and more loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the weak one. We've got to commit that I can make myself a stronger believer. It has to be given a desire to do so. And there are 3 things that you need to do that is all within our grasp to become a better believer. The first one is to increase the quality and quantity of our worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've got to make a better connection and relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that can start immediately. I'm talking about this second. You want to increase the quality of your ibadah? Don't sleep in the Jumu'ah. Don't slouch. Don't be inattentive to the khatib. You have already begun to improve yourself as a believer. Come early for the salah. When the salah is being prayed, pray it with khushu', with reverence, with humility. The quality of our connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our ibadah, we can improve that the moment we decide to. And the quantity that we do. Pray more. Fulfilling the basic ibadah that we owe to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because part of excellence is that worship. Al-ihsan ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarah. So the first thing is to connect to Allah in a qualitative way, not arbitrarily, having a sense of reverence. I get the opportunity to worship Allah. You should see that as a big deal. A big, big deal. But there's so many people don't even recognize who their Lord is. I get a chance to recognize Allah and an opportunity to worship Him. I have to do that well. I have to call on Allah, making my best support system. And the second way you become a better believer is you've got to become closer to the Quran. The living miracle that is in our hands. You cannot accept for yourself that I don't know what is in the book. How can you? A book that is probably as big as the New Testament. The Christians have new and old they have to deal with. We have a book small enough, almost like the New Testament. A book that we can read out within a day or two. And so many of us make a decision that I refuse to know what is in that book. I refuse to read it. I know you bring it in English for me. And I understand English. But I tell myself, I don't have time to pick up that book and read it. I don't know what it contains. I cannot translate even 2 surahs in English for you. Why? Why would you do that to yourself? The Quran will be an evidence for or against you on Yawm al-Qiyamah. We have these books available. You don't have a Quran and you don't have money to buy one, a free one will be given to you almost immediately by any Muslim you ask. In fact, most of our homes are filled with Qurans on our shelves. But we refuse to go inside of it. So many of us have never read the book out from cover to cover. We're not familiar with what are the stories inside. How do you want to be a stronger believer? In the hadha al-Quran, yahdeen allati hiya aqwam. This Quran came to guide us to the path which is upright. You want to be on the upright path? You have to connect to the Quran every single day. We must pick up this book and recite it. That is our obligation. That is what we have to be able to become a better believer. And that is within the grasp of every single one of us. You don't know to read and write? I'm sure you have an iPad or a computer. You can actually hear the Quran recited and translated on YouTube. We have so many resources to get access to the Quran. How many of us show the kind of commitment and the determination to understand what is this miracle? What is inside of it? We know more about the lives of Michael Jordan and all the other people around. You ask the average kid, he knows what kind of underwear Michael Jordan wears. Doesn't know what is in the Quran. And so, if you want to become a better believer, we got to do it. And the third thing to be a good believer and a strong believer is to raise your standard. You've got to say it to yourself, I cannot just have standards such as I will be late to an event. Standards such as I will not keep my promise. Standards that I will lie to the customer. Standards such as cheat on my taxes. Lie on my resume. Beat the traffic light when it's red, go past it. I've got to raise my standards. When you raise your standards, you raise your lifestyle. We've got to be able to say, I am no longer satisfied with this kind of lazy, just run-of-the-mill kind of existence that I have. I'm better than this. I've got to raise my standard. I've got to want better for myself. I want to be able to arrive at the point where I'm comfortable praying all 5 daily salah. I have to arrive at the point where my standard is, I am no longer scared to put on the hijab. That I will put my trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will raise my level of lifestyle and the way. I'm no longer satisfied with just taking drugs, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and all the other stuff. That I will raise my standard for myself. Elevate my standard because I deserve it. I deserve it. And that's how you become a better believer. Stronger believer. And all of us can do this almost immediately. And the third thing that we need to do in this coming year, it's really very important, is that we have got to connect to the people who are involved in solving the challenges facing Muslims in this country. We as Muslims face many challenges in America. And we have a lot of Muslims trying to solve those problems. Among some of the challenges we have in America is the challenge of repairing the image of Islam. We have got to be able to fix that image. Because the problem we have is not the religion, is not the quality of our life, but the image that's portrayed of us is incorrect. And we don't seem to have the voice and the wherewithal to change and repair that image. That's a challenge that we have to get involved in fixing. Another challenge is preparing our youth so that they may be able to take their place in the society. Another challenge we have is to share this sweetness of Islam to those who have never heard. And over 60% of Americans have never met a Muslim in their life. All their impression of Islam comes from what they see on TV or read on the internet. They never met one of you folks in flesh and blood. 2/3 of our country. And so many of them, almost 59% of them, feel they know nothing of Islam. They feel Muslims abuse their women, and so on. Part of our challenge is to be able to share our simple religion that is somehow so misunderstood by those who don't know it, even misunderstood by Muslims themselves. So one of our challenges is, how do we share this? Another challenge we have is we need to build institutions and facilities to be able to do the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there is coming a time when it's becoming very difficult to build institutions and facilities. The difficulties and the hoops you have to go through to be able to get that facility built or that institution established. And so all these challenges, this year, every Muslim must say to themselves, who is tackling these challenges? I need to be connected to them. And so we need to increase our output and our work. All of you sitting on this mat today, I want to say to you, you can do twice as much as you're doing. I don't care how active you are. You can do twice as much that you are presently doing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we allow shaitan to whisper to us that we are not so great, we're not so special, we're not so important, we're not so learned, we're not so this and that, and we buy into that whisper and we do nothing. We need to increase our input and increase our output. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is a shining example of someone who understood the concept of doing as much as you can while Allah gives you life. This was a brother who, subhanAllah, first to free slave, first to set up the Mus'haf, first to purchase the masjid, first first Caliph of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said, I've never spent the wealth of anyone more than the wealth of Abu Bakr for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bought the land of the Masjid Nabawi. The blessing that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is getting, because he was like this. The Prophet ﷺ would get up in the morning and say, Fajr Salah, and says, who visited the sick today? And they would look around, and only one hand would go up, Abu Bakr. I visited a sick. Before Fajr? Who helped a poor person today? Abu Bakr's hand would go. Before Fajr. Because he understood. And so we have got to stop operating as if we are invisible, or scared, or worried. Allah is in charge. And Allah waliyul ladina amanu. And Allah will protect those who believe. We have to go forward bravely and fulfill the responsibilities that have been placed on us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not by accident that all of you are born in this period of history, in this time of our lives. Allah don't make mistakes. Each of us have been placed here in this time of history because we can do the greatest good in this time. Don't allow yourself. You know, we are going to be burying a sister, doing janazah janazah for one of our sisters at 2:30 today after the Jummah. The sister who was fairly young, passed away suddenly. So many of us think we have a lot of time. One of the things about death, it never comes and tells you, well, you know, I'm going to take your life tomorrow at 2 o'clock, so get prepared. You know, or next week, we have an appointment, me and you. I'm going to take your soul. The angel of death doesn't make that kind of a deal. You sleep and you don't wake up. You walk, you fall in a coma, and you may never arrive. We don't have any guarantee that we will see tomorrow. So every day that you have, every moment that we have got to live it with a sense of urgency and a sense of that I don't really have a lot. I've got to do as much as I can for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this year, rather than making frivolous resolutions, I want all of us to really deep down in our hearts say, you know what, I'm going to become a better believer this year. I'm going to raise my standards. I'm going to get connected and involved with the people who are solving the problems of the Muslims. Make a conscious decision, you know, to do all that we have talking about. And then we will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will honor us, elevate us, protect us, and make us successful. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our families and to help us in our journey to become a better person, a better believer. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us if we mess up. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow our fellow brothers and sisters to forgive us if we do wrong by them. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cause us to become good stewards of this deed, and that we will go out and help our families and the young people and to share this gift that we have been given, the gift of guidance. So those who need it out there so badly, but we don't go and give it to them. What happens is the opposite. The Jehovah's Witnesses come and knock on our doors to sell us a product which it's so tough to sell. But they walk the street selling it. They walk in my neighborhood. And I go look through my window and I see them all over the streets. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 old women. Some of them barely can walk. And they go to every house. And they knock on the doors. And they try to share their goodness and what they consider to be their goodness. And we have such beautiful deed. We're scared to say our stuff. We're scared. Some of us change our names. Our women are terrified. They take off their hijab. They worry that they'll be persecuted. Put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not the first time in history things like this happen. And the Muslims have always come out better and stronger. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as this new year comes. We don't know what it will bring, but we certainly know that if we decide in our hearts, I'm going to really become something special. I'm going to make a change in my reality, then Allah will make it happen for you. Before I close, I wanted to also mention some of the good things that have happened. I mean, we have Christians who have helped, Christian churches who have helped a lot of Syrian refugees, and they are very much involved in that. We have the mayor of New York City decided that the 2 Eids will be holiday in New York for the 5 boroughs, for the school. We have many mayors of different cities in the States, including Houston, that says we are going to take more Syrian refugees because it's the right thing to do. So we find among the non-Muslims, many of them are very sympathetic and very helpful to the Muslim community. They would, in this Trump era, so many of them have come and says, look, don't worry, we have your back. We will not allow someone to interfere with you or harass you. And so they have recognized and they reach out to us. We have to reciprocate. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنه وفي الاخره حسنه وقنا عذاب النار ربنا اننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للايمان ان امنوا بربكم فامنا نستغفر الله الذي لا اله الا هو الحي القيوم ونتوب اليه الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وأقيموا الصلاة.